have a map to play first. So let's go to the match, or map veto, rather. We started the day on Consulate for FaZe Ints. We just went to Coastline for Ninjas in Pajamas and Pain. Consulate in the middle of the pack in terms of pick rate. Coastline, the least played map in Latin America, and by Jove, it appears that we're going to go there yet again, propelling its numbers upwards, but that's also because we're not going to see any Oregon today. For half the teams, there's no clubhouse, and for half the teams, there's no border as well. So something's got to give with the lower picked maps. Could we possibly see a Villa for our fourth map? Who knows? But Coastline, yet again.
Coastline again, like you said, and for Black Dragons, I mean, this is a pretty good map. I mean, we talk about throwing curveballs at teams. Immortals have a little more play on Coastline than Black Dragons will have in the past, simply just because of Immortals' international play. But for Black Dragons, I mean, this has got to be a map that you should have been working behind the scenes for a very long time to try and boot camp for this game specifically. Try to just throw a wrench at Immortals. Take a look at the community vote, though. What is everyone thinking? That is much closer and honestly much more accurate. I do like this community vote.
I mean, looking at these matchups today, Immortals versus Black Dragons has to be the match that is probably going to be the closest because all the others are against teams that are in the bottom three. That's it. And while Ints has done a good job of propelling themselves upwards out of the basement, they're still in 6th place overall, right? Red Devils and Red Devils and Pain have not looked like the best teams, and because of this, they only have 2 points in the second half between them, both of which are Pain's. Black Dragons has 7 points. Were it not for that unfortunate issue last week, who knows if they could have brought the fire to FaZe, but they have an opportunity to not necessarily spoil the season for Immortals, but put Immortals in a bad position. And no team has been able to defeat Immortals, except in the group stages of the Six Invitational. Nobody over the last 12 weeks has been able to defeat Immortals in Latin America. They enter with 6 wins and 6 draws, and they came in first overall. They've lost that spot. In fact, right now they actually trail both Ninjas in Pajamas and FaZe. They have an opportunity to pick up 1 or 3 very big points, and very similar to what FaZe did, all but seal your spot in terms of probability.
For Immortals here, it's routine, right? It's go back to your basics and honestly don't get overwhelmed with the gravitas of this game. For Black Dragons, just do your gosh darn hardest to throw a wrench and play spoiler. That's got to be a motivation. You don't want to walk into this game not feeling like there's much to play for. You can play spoiler. You know you want to play spoiler. Everyone does at some point when they have the opportunity at their availability. A Montaigne ban. Okay, that's interesting. Monty not seeing a lot of play on Coastline specifically, but also just not a lot of play in general in Latin America. We saw the top 10 played operators, and I don't remember seeing Montaigne even remotely close to those top 10, but nonetheless, Monty and Glass will be removed from availability, and then we head to the defender bans. First one's Jaeger, so we're getting some interesting bans.
Teams have been known to ban smoke against Moringa, but it's more site dependent. I don't know if you would take the risk to ban a smoke here on Coastline, but Immortals have that opportunity at their disposal should they choose to do so. Probably see something more standard, and there it is. It's going to be a Mira ban. I was going to say, if you ban a smoke, that means Mira, Echo, and Maestro all make it through the ban phase, which is almost unheard of. You've got 4 smokes off the board in both Montaigne and Glass, meaning that if you're going to bring smokes, you're probably going to bring Capitao first, maybe Jackal second, presumably Dokkaebi third, in that order, even though Dokkaebi's pick rate has fallen off quite far. Black Dragons banned the Jaeger, and, well, would you take a look at what's on the board? All of the frag grenades available. Sledge, Buck, and Finka. But a lot of times Finka is brought out as a bait for a 6-pick, so it is conceivable that Black Dragons will switch off of her. Instead, they're actually going to switch off of the Hibana. So we're going to see another Hard Breacher get brought to Coastline. There's a Hard Breacher present in every single round in the Nip Pain matchup, or at least pretty darn close to. If there was one round where she didn't show up, Hibana was the preferred Hard Breacher in that particular setup. You brought 3 sets of frag grenades, and you've got smokes that are already immune to an ADS, so you don't need to worry about it. Were Jaeger in play, but with the fact that he's banned, yeah, he's not going to be there. This could get really messy for Immortals. 6 frag grenades with nothing to stop them.
Clearly, Black Dragons coming out with a strategy in mind to try and run through this game, especially starting on the attack. Looks like they're going to be trying to displace a lot of the Immortals defenders from their commonplace positions. And One of the things that happens when you ban a Jaeger is, first of all, you remove a 3-speed with mobility, but you take away those ADSs, and then you leave one of those anchors with those information gathering utilities available to the defenders. That's a hard treat not to try and grab right there, and they're running it right now. Immortals are, both the Maestro and the Echo being run by Immortals for Cyber and M-King. It's not surprising, and with those anchors, what happens is if you want to use your utility, you got to sit in one spot. Perfect opportunity for a frag grenade to come in. And especially as a 3 armor and a 1 speed, the mobility on those operators will not be spectacular. I kind of like the strategy here, just as a bait. Oh my dear lord. Na'Vi is going to launch out a Nitro Cells. He's trying to honestly bring the heat to Black Dragon's inside spawn. It does enough to kill 30 seconds, but won't do a single hit point of damage. And he'll surrender the only Nitro Cell, possibly, don't know if Bullet's rocking, but probably the only Nitro Cell.
He wasn't just in a position to be able to get taken down from anybody beneath him. The only real angle that you can be able to hit that shot from is all the way back in spawn. And as you could see, most of the people from Black Dragons, or most of the people, yeah, on Black Dragon's side had pushed on out. The buck is exactly where you would need to be, which is Panico's position, but he's going to try to assemble with the rest of his team. And Black Dragon's very intent on moving in from the south side, whether it be the office on the main floor or aquarium. Meanwhile, Immortals have their bodies spread out all over. In fact, the Maestro was down watching luggage, and if he goes unspotted, could actually be a pretty pivotal operator here to watch a repel on in from Hugzord, who, speak of, will get the very first kill on Navi's. He'll take out the Valkyrie, who had gotten very, very aggressive early on. Frag grenade goes in, and it won't do much. It'll take a little bit of M-King's HP away as it blows up the barricade on the window. Presumably, you might still have 5 frag grenades remaining for Black Dragons. Whether there was a Finka in play or not, there still would have been all 6 grenades here, just simply because you got Hugzord on the IQ, whose grenades were gifted to Finka in a couple patches ago.
Yeah, GDN rocking the new Capitao with the Fuser in hand, and he'll dictate the location for this push. M-King, very wary of anyone coming in down from below him, as they've lost Navis, who can sit on cams, but Hugzord ripping right through all this information gathering utility as the first adrenal surge from PZD will come out. Another frag grenade going to be bounced off the windowsill. It'll do a little bit of damage to Bullet, but again, not much being collected off of these frag grenades, but if I'm not mistaken, you still have 3 remaining on the side of the attack. Panico's empty. You still got Hugzord looking down for anyone playing on cams and behind the bar for utility. Ooh, just missing the cross in behind the bomb inside of Hookah. The adrenal surge is going to come out. It's going to come down to the dire seconds for this plant attempt.
They're getting marked quite heavily, not being aware of where a Valkyrie camera or an Evil Eye or a Yokai might end up being. Keep in mind those toxic canisters can do quite a bit of damage. As you'll see a C4 get tossed out from Bullet, you called that correctly. Oh, a double kill, but Black Dragons will swing it back as PX shreds through Panico in a 2v2, in which the diffuser in the hands of PZD will need to be planted, but there's only 7 seconds left. So he'll get right down to the wire in a default plant spot. Nobody there from Immortals to push on in, as there's good coverage on the window from Moringa. Successful plant, which we haven't seen much of today from Black Dragons, as PZD just sits and watches the double doors leading into the billiard table. He's shut down from Cyber. That'll put Moringa in a very tense position as the defuse is going down. Moringa doesn't seem to know. PX going for the defuse, shut down from Cyber. Great block out from Immortals as they will keep full coverage and allow that defuse to be disabled. Immortals looked like they were going sideways for a second there. Almost bailed out from the Bandit C4 before the pendulum swinging back and forth and back and forth and back and forth again. And it all comes down to the Maestro. It wasn't that much of a difference maker until after that diffuser had gone down. Immortals will manage to take round number 1.
So, some more defensive rounds being collected. This time, chaotic round back and forth between both of these teams. Navi's really setting the tempo early with that aggressive run out on the Valkyrie to the Aquarium balcony, and that Nitro Cell from Bullet coming into huge effect. This time around, Bullet's going to be playing on the Legion and Navi's on the Vigil, so some operator swap-ups here. No Nitro Cells at the behest of Immortals as they head to Blue Bar, and Sunrise Bar is their secondary defense. So they just defended directly above this objective. Now they'll go back down below. Like you remarked in the last game, you can bring almost a mirrored setup between the 2 objectives, just slightly different operators for different utility. And it seems like Black Dragons, well, they started off with their initial intentions of bringing 6 frag grenades. They're gonna walk that back down to 4 now, as Moringa and Panico will still be bringing frags on the Sledge and the Finka respectively. But now you're gotta bring out some more utility. It'll be Hugzord still picking up the IQ, but you have the Twitch now being brought out by PZD. try and spot out any more of these evil eyes, because like we said earlier, the change, the new patch, hasn't been a lot of time for teams to scrim and practice this new patch and how they want to utilize it, but we talked about Twitch's pick rate being significantly low inside of Pro League in all regions. She has a very good gun, one of the best guns in the game in the F2. The utility wasn't really all that useful when you could bring a Thatcher instead. You don't have to risk losing the Twitch drone and then not getting anything done.
I think that's why Thatcher's pick rate has been so high. And there's this debate that always seems to encapsulate the electronic destruction operators, if you want to call them that. That's what Twitch could be, IQ, for example, Thatcher, so on, is whether Thatcher does too much. There's certain gadgets that he simply disables now. That Maestro, for example, a change that you touched on earlier, was that now an EMP in a Twitch drone will open up the evil eye so that it's a lot more exposed and vulnerable. Giving a bit of a counterplay to what can be seen as a possibly frustrating gadget that you need to bring a set amount of destructive tools to possibly take care of. Whether it's a Twitch or not, I think it's indisputable that the F2 in the hands of PZD right now is a much better gun than the L85, and through the wall, PZD will be able to take out Navis. But this is information that might not be made aware of to Black Dragons, because there's no hit markers, there's no points. Vigil will get willed back to life from Bullet, as all good teammates are there. And once again, Immortals sticking close by one another. That was a very important focus for them in round number 1. We'll see if it will continue through round number 2.
Black Dragons here, you have that initial press into Kitchen and Service, but you're unable to collect the kill onto Navis, and that's a big problem for Black Dragons, as they're letting time escape. Utility utilized in that endeavor as they use an Adrenal Surge, and now Cyber and Moringa will come to blows upstairs inside of Penthouse and Theater. Moringa not taking that initial engagement against Cyber, as it looks like Cyber has gone undetected upstairs now inside of Penthouse. Moringa will now turn his attention back towards the Penthouse and Theater. He's going to actually evacuate. Was inside of VIP, a very strong position to hold to rip up the floorboards inside of Kitchen, but everyone from Immortals is also backed out of Kitchen. Looks like Black Dragons are going to try and angle in for a plant attempt. The second Adrenal Surge will ring out and will boost PZD. Honestly, the most willing and needed member of the attacking side for that Adrenal Surge. He's back down to about 30, and now Navis is angling in towards Kitchen to try and lock down this flank.
If the push comes out through the foyer into Sunrise, then you've got both PX and M-King in a position to shut them down, as you'll have the Yokais going in to possibly stop somebody in their tracks. You hear the sound of the Capitao smoke bolt go off. It's actually an asphyxiating bolt as well, and now M-King will push up, get very aggressive. It's a lot of utility if he goes down, but he'll win the fight against PZD. Not much left for the Twitch. Still lots of information available as now Black Dragons looks to come in. One of those frag grenades using its might to take out PX. You've dislodged the smoke from behind the bar. But nobody's going for the plant. GDN will have to come in, losing 2 members of the team. Navis comes in, takes out Panico. Bye-bye Moringa. And now down goes Hugzord. GDN losing quite a bit of HP. 2 kills for M-King after 1 earlier in the round. And Immortals will not be shut down as the smoke clears. It's M-King with a beautiful read. And that's 2 in a row from Immortals.
So for Black Dragons, we're seeing not a similar mentality, I guess, to Pain Gaming, but the similar kind of problem is unable to grasp map control early, unable to really press in and lock down a certain portion of the map and maintain that control. It seems like a lot of floundering on the directionality of the push. They're not really sure where they want to go, and eventually a Sunrise entrance bombardment seems like the best possible option for Black Dragons, and with Evil Eyes and Yokais and all the possible information that Immortals had at their disposal, that plant was not getting off no matter how much smoke you dumped into it. The frag grenades, again, they collect 1 kill, but for the disposal of Black Dragons when they attack that round and only have 1 connecting, if you're going to be able to utilize this Jaeger band to its full effect, you really got to be able to lock down where these anchors are playing, make sure they have no escape, and then send in the frag grenade, not just send it out in desperation. For Black Dragons here, you can take solace at least in the fact that while your map control hasn't been the greatest and your time control hasn't been flawless, you're keeping things immensely close, and those chaotic fests inside of the objective in those dying seconds are coming down to the absolute wire. 1 gunfight goes a different way, 1 Evil Eye gets destroyed, 1 Yokai gets destroyed at a different point in time, maybe it's an entirely different round. So Black Dragons still well in this game, they've only surrendered 2 rounds and just narrowly.
This is a hell of a setup here that we see from Immortals. There's an awful lot going on, and we haven't been treated to a top-down view of it yet, so it's hard to tie all of it in together. But all these castle barricades are not going to last all that long, assuming that Moringa knew that there'd be some contest there between Cyber as Cyber's prone below it, as Immortals have almost all of their operators spread out completely all over the map. You saw a castle barricade down in the main lobby. You also saw one upstairs inside of the penthouse window. Inside of theater, you've got a couple walls reinforced additionally. And it looked like there might have been a barricade up at luggage as well. So there's a lot of things going on, a lot of moving parts for Immortals in the way that they're playing this. The site that they're defending is kitchen downstairs. Presumption being that with the Valkyrie camera and the castle barricade over in the main lobby and then the dock anchoring down that position by the main lobby too, is that you are extending the site out to the main lobby, which means that for the most part, if Black Dragons wants to attack the site, they're going to have to clear out main lobby, or else they're going to funnel through a singular doorway or a window over towards kitchen. That leaves really only service as the other area for you to go through. Keep in mind, as we said, there aren't that many hatches here on Coastline that you can drop down, and there's none inside of kitchen. But despite all of this work that's being done on the defensive setup, Hugzord will just poke a little hole in the pressure that is the blister of Immortals' defense. You take out the castle, but presumably all of the barricades from Navi's are set up. So really all you're doing is taking out possibly 2 impacts. If you wanted to impact Trick, unlikely given the fact there's no hard destruction for Black Dragons, and you're taking a UMP out of the equation.
Probably your most sacrificable defender, really, inside of Navi's. Firepower on the UMP, not great, but there goes Cyber, and there goes one of your defenders that you definitely wanted to keep alive for the maximum amount of time possible. Hugzord on a rampage with 3 now, taking down Bullet, looking to tack on for more as the Adrenal Surge will boost him up in ADS time, less recoil, all of the nice little gifts that are tacked on to the Adrenal Surge from Finka. Frag grenade comes soaring in, but MK able to evade as a poorly cooked frag grenade will just detonate into errant space. You still have PX locking down from inside of Kegs, but there goes another frag grenade. Moringa collects onto PX, and it leaves M-King last alive. 1v5 is the Echo, and is swiftly decapitated there by PZD. M-King will fall. Immortals surrender this round in much more dominant fashion, honestly. That was a very good round for Black Dragons. The disjointed attack still exists. They were still pushing in like 1v1s into segregated areas, but they still came away with the gunfights that they needed. And like I said, the last couple rounds comes down to one thing. It comes down to a coin flip.
I wish we had an opportunity to see exactly all of those moving parts top down.
Yeah.
Because lest we try to explain a strategy and then have somebody complain about it on Twitter, it's very tough to see exactly the full intentions behind what Immortals were doing. Obviously, upstairs inside of Penthouse and Theater, you're over top of the lobby, which we know that a considerable focus is being put on by the defense of Immortals. So you stick a Valkyrie above as well, a couple reinforced panels so you can't get pushed from inside of VIP and basically make somebody have to try to take the fight to you through the door into Theater. You also have the escape route, if you want to, as the Valkyrie to go down the main stairs. Now you're in the main lobby where the dock was playing. Trying to maybe stall some time inside a courtyard, maybe not expecting that Black Dragons were going to be bringing lots of tools at their disposal, but you've known that Black Dragons have been bringing at least 4 frag grenades every single round. It's possible to put breaching charges on the IQ additionally. You might bring a Claymore on her. I would assume that you probably will, given the fact that teams can get aggressive and push out or jump out different avenues on Coastline. But I question the strategy that we saw from Immortals. Black Dragons seem to have everything at their disposal to stop every aspect of Immortals' structure from working, and that's exactly what happened, right? So we'll see if anything changes now. You're not going to go back down the stairs to kitchen. That's very sensible. You go over to Hookah, and it looks like it's a very similar setup to what we saw from Immortals previously. You've got the Maestro playing off-site. He was recalled in the dying seconds of the round and was actually instrumental at being able to stop Black Dragons in the post-plant. But given the fact that the Maestro was so far off-site, and Immortals is likely, or Black Dragons likely knows this, they could go hunting and find Maestro earlier on. And if Cyber gets shut down with very minimal contest, then not only do you freeze those Evil Eyes in place, but you also take a pretty big factor out of the equation for the defense of Immortals.
So Once again, Cyber on his roam over towards the top of Theater Stairs, but these frag grenades finally coming into full effect. M-King down by one, cleaned up by another, and there goes your ACOG operator early. Panico pressing immediately into Hookah. There goes Bullet. You've surrendered map control and site control. Panico with another one on a PX, looking for 3 inside of the bar, and now Navi's will be down. Hugzor will clean that up from Aquarium. It's all Cyber left alive. And a 1v5 yet again, lazing in towards PZD, but cannot land the shots. Hugzor with yet another dominant round. Black Dragons storm back with 2 decisive, definitive exclamation points of rounds.
Bad in the water there for Immortals through those 2 rounds. And I mean, there goes my speculation. Oh, find the Meister early and take him out of the equation. Great job. Well, you leave him last alive and kill all of his friends on the site, and then you basically have to retake 1v5 with an Aldo, which can work on certain sites, but is not going to work on Hookah with the way that you have the setup going from Immortals. Hard to shut down Hugzord with as hot as he's been playing, and I like the change from Black Dragons. You don't necessarily need the Finka every single round. You can still 6-pick onto her if you want, but Moringa's going to 6-pick off. So you started with 3 sets of frag grenades, 6 grenades. They've been working really damn well, especially Moringa has been extremely accurate. I think there's been a grenade kill in almost every round that we've seen so far. And bye-bye server. Everybody's trying to get the...
Oh, we're back. Nailed it. Oh. Stuck the landing. Out of B, boys.
Take a deep breath. Nope.
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 We thought we stuck the landing.
Maybe. We're back. And we're back. Nope.
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 Maybe.
Maybe.
Timer's going.
There we
Good.
go. Oh, hello. Hello, yes. Servers.com. Yes, we would like 1 bandwidth, please. Don't know exactly what's going on, but it seems to have been largely fixed.
Nope.
Nope. Nope.
And we're back.
Hell of a show. So let's break this down.
Oh, we're dead again?
The ability to walk in place. Extraordinarily hard to practice. Really showing off the prowess of the running man, I believe it is called in a normal dance routine here, Robert. Now, with certain electronic devices, there is something that is referred to as your step count in, and a good way to cheat that number is to get the step count in while not actually moving at all. It gives the appearance that one is moving on the spot, possibly jogging, maybe running, walking, who really knows? And it tricks your devices into thinking that, hey, I hit my step count for the day. Very easy for you to do so while burning minimal calories. Just another fitness routine. Excellent job from both of those teams to be able to do that, and I score them an 8 out of 10.
We almost stuck the landing. 3 times. We almost stuck the landing. For this game so far. It's a 2-2 game.
So, expert analysis, something went wrong.
Yeah.
This is why they pay us.
In our 6 credits, yes.
In Rainbow 6 credits, also renowned. That's why would they pay us the big Rainbow 6 credits. 1 seasonal skin per year. There you go. So we'll get the lobby up and running for you again, and then we'll come back. Now, what did we see on the board there was, I noted it, you went from the 3 sets of frag grenades down to 2, now down to 1. You take Moringa off of them and put them on the Zofia instead. And I find that really interesting because you moved off of the sledge to go with the Zofia. Now, there are changes that are going to come out from Immortals realizing the way that Black Dragons are playing. Yes, you ban a Jaeger. It allows operators such as Ying, operators such as Dokkaebi, operators such as Jackal, if you've got the smokes, Ying with her Candelas, then any operator with frag grenades to get an exceptionally high amount of value because there's nothing to stop it. Unlike a lot of other defenders, there is no overlap right now with Jaeger. He is the only person who does his job. So when you take him out of the equation, then you're able to get basically free tosses with all of your throwables and your projectiles as well without worrying about them getting grabbed. This also empowers Zofia, who in a lot of ways, teams will utilize her ability, that lifeline, to essentially burn through ADSs. That's not the case now because there are none. So you don't need to put yourself in harm's way, the same that Moringa was doing with the sledgehammer. You can get the 2 shots through the lifeline, but then those concussive blasts also become extremely important. Let's keep in mind that there's also flashbangs that can be brought on a variety of different operators, depending on which operators they're bringing. Not Zofia, because you're only going to have the Claymore or the breaching charges. But still, Black Dragons haven't had much of an issue with making all of their projectiles and throwables land. Adding Zofia to the mix to pin down the remaining members of Immortals could be a good decision from them, even if the killing potential of the frag grenades from Sledge are gone.
And another opera that I'm surprised we're not seeing being brought all that much is Ying. No ADSs, that's kind of your perfect field day if you like playing Ying.
Yeah.
That would be a demonstrous operator to bring to just rip right through the objective. And that seems to be the focal point for Black Dragons now, is we saw earlier on very disjointed attempts at a roam clear, clearing opposite sides of the map and trying to enter in and grab some formation of map control elsewhere than the objective. Black Dragons have now in the last 2 rounds said, screw that. We're hard pressing into the actual objective. We don't need the map control elsewhere. We can hold our flanks properly, and that's what's really helped them out is their flank hold. Hugzord has been a beast on the IQ on his flank hold. As long as Hugzord is doing his job and collecting his kills when the Immortals defenders try to retreat back to the objective, Black Dragons are looking pretty clean on their site take.
Yeah. And I'd imagine that Immortals will play a little bit more conservatively and a little bit less static. Now, one of the reasons why those frag grenades were so successful is because Immortals are always having a number of bodies that just aren't moving. They're keeping a portion of their operators, be it on site, be it off site, in very static positions, either maybe on cameras, maybe just holding angles, etc. And when there's no ADSs, you don't have anything in the back of your mind to think to yourself, oh, I'm okay, I can stop worrying about grenades now, because you need to. You need to start worrying about them without a Jaeger on the board. So Immortals will likely be holding now more of a fluid and looser defense. Expect them to be able to try to rotate on Coastline, which is a map that you can do that on. You know, you don't have a Nomad band. So you can theoretically bring a Nomad to try and hold them down if you don't want to have somebody on flank watch, which you said Hugzord was doing an excellent job of. Not just entry, but then transitioning over to a flank watch role when the execute went out, because you know that IQ's gadget doesn't necessarily need to be in the thick of it, and then you can just simply watch a position. And Hugzord was able to get, I think it was three or four kills in both of the previous 2 rounds.
He's been on fire, and that's honestly that was the missing piece for Black Dragons in those rounds, was the identification of, okay, this roam from Navis, this roam from Bullet, this is starting to really piss us off. We can't get through this. They are winning their ones, and we can't collapse upon them. They always have an escape route.
Yeah.
Change up the game plan, man. Change up your X's and O's to get towards the objective faster and cut them off. That's the difference that that Hugzord is making, honestly. Being able to cut off those possible rotations for roamers like Bullet and like Cyber and like Navis to be able to retreat.
Yeah. And what was a match that, for the first 2 rounds, Immortals looked almost unstoppable. They had the great retake on round number 1. They locked it out in round number 2. They've really fallen off the pace. Round 3, they fell apart, and then round 4, I think it was a flawless round, or maybe it was a 1v4 at the very end when the Maestro was recalled to Hookah, and just couldn't really put anything together. And they read that correctly. I had originally speculated that maybe they'll go after the Maestro, but in all reality, they just excised him. That was it. They removed him, they just went for all the others, and then forced him to have to come back in, which is a tall task to do. So it looked like it was going to be another Hookah defense for Immortals before the server decided to give up the ghost, so to speak.
Yeah.
So we'll see exactly what they're going to be able to accomplish. The Zofia pick of Black Dragons was a 6th pick. So it's unlikely that she was seen on the board. Now, that could have been a reason for that. There could have been a reason why she was 6th picked onto. Likely hiding her for possibly the same destruction that you'd imagine from a Sledge, because think about what happened in the round prior. You put Moringa on Repel. Yep. You had the Valkyrie lying underneath it. Knowing that there's been a Sledge run every single round, you can essentially wait on the other side of a castle barricade and use it as bait, so that the moment that the Sledge hits it, you can capitalize. Mm-hmm. Because Sledge is essentially vulnerable for a period of time. He has to put the hammer away, he has to try to get into the site or get out of the site or get off of Repel, etc. And it could have gone really bad for Moringa there, and it didn't. So I would imagine that the reason behind the Zofia was that you're probably going to see somebody playing very close to a window, a barricade, etc., waiting to possibly get a kill onto the Sledge, should the Sledge take a close engagement, which Sledges do, and you're going to be playing a bit farther back as Black Dragons here.
So we've been singing the praises of Black Dragons in their response. We're just waiting on one more member to come into the lobby. We got 9 out of 10. Well, technically 10 out of 11, because you have a spectator as well. We're almost there. We're almost there. We're just waiting to get things underway. It's a 2-2 scoreline for anyone just joining and wondering why we're not in game. It's 2-2 between Immortals and Black Dragons. We talked about the consequences before for this game. Immortals right now, They win this, they're looking comfy to make it to Milan. Whether it comes down to a tiebreak and they end up in the 2nd seed, or they walk away with the 1st seed in a tiebreak against FaZe, that is yet to be determined next week. But for right now, Liquid are staring on, just praying that Black Dragons can play spoiler, because that would leave Liquid with the opportunity to play Red Devils tonight. I mean, realistically, get that win, although Liquid have stumbled in a couple weeks now. And then next week, they'd have to have a play-in game to make it to Milan. But that door firmly closes shut if Immortals wins this game.
Also, a couple implications here of this game and then moving on to next week, and then if you want to look at the standings. Number one, NiP won their matchup earlier. FaZe won their matchup earlier. As of right now, Immortals are out of the playoff picture. They're 1 point behind NiP, and they are 3 points behind FaZe. It's 27, 25, 24 for FaZe, NiP, Immortals, respectively. Next week, Immortals and FaZe play each other in the final week. NiP plays Liquid, who, if Immortals wins in this matchup against Black Dragons, which right now they are tied, then Liquid is no longer a factor in the playoff race. So you really have to think on this. If Immortals loses this, then things can get really ugly next week. Because if Immortals loses right here, right now to Black Dragons, their first loss of the season, and Liquid wins their matchup against Red Devils in our final match of the day, then it's very possible that Liquid playing against NiP will have playoff implications, and Liquid's window to get to Milan will still be very much open. And in order to do so, they'll have to overcome NiP, who they will then deny the ability to be able to make it. And if FaZe beats Immortals, then it's very possible that Liquid could jump over. But that's something that we have to really dive into with the tiebreakers, and we can do the number crunching on that. As we get back into the game, and everything seems to be back to normal. Back up to Hookah we go, which was the site before. General rule of thumb with rehosts and all of that is that you need to go to the same site and run the same operator lineup, etc., etc.,
etc. So yes, we are returning here to Hookah and Billiards defense for Immortals, as they're 2/3 of the way done their first half on the defensive side. We're through 4 rounds of 6, and we stand at a 2-2 deadlock. Almost identical operators in terms of relation to the last couple rounds. Cyber, though, picking up a Doc. Not sure if that's just for the bulletproof camera or if that's, I want an ACOG, I want to gun some people. We've seen the Doc used here or there in other regions, mostly North America. Doc not getting as much play in EU as NA. Doc in Latin America, that's also one that I haven't seen all that often.
No, he's not exactly been the staple. In fact, the only real ACOGs that you see get brought out on defense here tend to be Echo and Maestro, depending on whether Echo is banned or not. Maestro often goes unbanned. You saw that his ban rate was the lowest of the 3 defenders who are most banned, which is the Mira Echo Maestro combo. And, well, a lot of people are going to be running an ACOG on that Maestro because there's really no disincentive not to. Now, great patience for the time being as drone work, and then Claymores planted down. We'd speculated that a couple Claymores would be used on Coastline because it is a map where there are lots of avenues for you to be able to open a door up and catch somebody off guard. It's very similar to Consulate. You need to watch a lot of the windows. You need to watch a lot of the doorways for runouts, especially over here on the balcony where Black Dragons are assembled. This Hookah balcony allows you to be somewhat exposed to a runout from the balcony over on VIP, referred to as that DJ balcony. First kill is going to go to Navi's. He'll take out Moringa, so the gambit to go with the sledge will not work out at all. Zofia will not be that effective, though a grenade from Panico will fall, and yet again it's another round where a grenade will hit its target. Both teams will lose one, but then down goes Hugzord. The supposed hard carry from the grave, he takes out Navi's, so it's a glorified trade. PZD taking out M-King, and we're 90 seconds in, and half of the lobby is now dead.
You have the smokes running out now from PX as the Twitch drone causing havoc inside the objective. Cyber unable to lock it down. They have a 2v3 to work out of with a lot of time at their disposal, the attacking side, and oof, unable to collect the first Evil Eye kill that we would have seen with a Twitch drone. And he gets shot away as he got the first zap off to disable the Evil Eye and open up that bulletproof glass, but he couldn't get the second one off to destroy it, so it will remain intact. He just won't be able to be moved as M-King was decapitated with a nice one-tap through the soft wall by PZD into the depths of the VIP hallway. We've got multiple stacking towards an aquarium rappel right now as PX is the lone man on site. Cyber returning up the Cool Vibe stairs is going to be a standoff. Another frag ramp coming in from Courtyard, looking to dismantle anyone from the side of Immortals playing the top of the Cool Vibe stairs. And there goes these Prototypical smokes coming up against the wall, and of course the plume will extend into your default plant spot. The skeleton key, evaporating floorboards from down below. And you still got Cyber worry about a flank as well. All the asphyxiating bolts and toxic babes. Smoke for disruption of visibility as well, but no one pushing in just yet. GDN now going for the plant in behind the pool table. Ping comes out in the shotgun blast. The second one will connect, dropping GDN. 13 seconds tick away. A great pre-fire from Cyber, now pushing in. PZD is able to take down PX. 1v1 up against the hard wall, dancing back and forth in the rotates. PZD is going to have to hit the vault, and with the pistol, he's unable to collect a kill. Cyber locks it out. Beautiful hold there from Immortals. PX and Cyber win the 2v3. That's Immortals taking the lead once again.
The Buck giving up his position down below, trying to come up to help on the push that's going on, and then the plant that gets foiled by either an evil eye or that bulletproof camera from the dock, depending on the positioning of those gadgets, leading to the easy kill for the smoke of PX onto the very vulnerable planter of the Capitao. The Buck was down below in a very important position, and I'm kind of surprised that he got called up through Cool Vibe Stairs, because he could have stayed down there and, you know, just continuously put pressure on PX. It's also, possible that he was out of skeleton key ammo. That could have been a position as well. So, or it could have been his, his circumstances and the position he found himself in as well. Ultimately, as he was ascending the Cool Vibe Stairs, if he had won that heads-up fight against the dock, that really would have been it. And I think that's worth noting, is that the win from the dock onto the stairs is all that mattered.
So, we go back down to Kitchen to the Blue Bar and Sunrise Bar to lock things out, as Cyber is contesting with a drone inside of Kitchen. Trying to get a Valkyrie camera in place to lock out Black Dragon's attempted push into the service door that we saw just a few rounds ago before the rehost. For this defense here, it'll be mirrored almost identically from what they've been bringing previously, the only alteration being that we're bringing a Maestro on the side of M-King instead of an Echo on this specific defense. And last time for Black Dragons, it was an absolute swarming of the objective. Smokes in tandem, and there was really not a lot of coordination. It just came down to chaotic bullets and a hailstorm of shots ringing out between everyone. A flurry of trades in the last, 15 seconds or so of the round. And you can see also the intimidation factor from Cyber is, first off, it was Navi's going for the runouts onto the aquarium balcony. And the door being opened up is not going to leave anyone on the side of Black Dragons at ease. Bullet right now inside of Office will be the first contestant for anyone on Black Dragons trying to push in for a Blue Bar take. And that's honestly something we haven't seen in a while, is that was the default take for Blue Bar Sunrise Bar on the attack. And then suddenly everyone started maneuvering over to a Sunrise entrance take.
I think a lot of that also hinged on the way that teams started playing the site differently. Look at the double walls that are next to the Legion. While they're reinforced, a lot of teams foregoing that hard breach makes it a lot more difficult to be able to walk in through that way. You can't really get a lot of presence in Office unless you are able to take out some of the reinforcements there. And as much as you're going to have a Hugzord right now on just simply a reflex test, he's not going to be able to land the shots. He's been really good so far through this game, but he's not going to be able to find the Legion for the time being, as you see Bullet flirting around the door, flitting back and forth, and eventually giving up. All the while, PZD has been felled, so you're going to lose those Twitch drones, and then probably the best gun that will be in the hands of any of the attacking operators, and possibly the defenders too, as the Twitch will get taken care of. Bit of an interesting play there from Panico, actually, as he just ran right in and just got gunned down. Scene that is very reminiscent of Saving Private Ryan at the start of the movie. We say goodbye to Panico, and now at the watch from above, Black Dragons are in a lot of trouble. There's going to be another added to it from Immortals. Hugzord finds 2 kills, and he's in sight. Possibly GDN able to get the plant down. He's down, though. Hugzord will need to get the ace here, as he's cleaned up 3 kills. He's got Bullet and Cyber to get with. Hugzord taking quite a bit of damage from Bullet, so I'm not sure he's aware of all the positioning of the various defenders. Hugzord will have to watch through multiple angles, but he doesn't look above him, and Cyber will be able to take out the very final member of Black Dragons, and the individual effort of Hugzord will have no reward and no payoff. It'll be Immortals taking 4 of the 6 rounds of their defense. We'll switch sides, Black Dragons going to defense, and I gotta say, nobody from Black Dragons seemed to drone out the upstairs portion of Hookah, and because of that, Panico just blindly rushed into the site, all the while the Valkyrie was sitting up there just waiting, perched, staring down through the opening that had been created into the foyer.
one of the biggest problems that we've seen for teams attacking Coastline, and this may come from just inexperience on the map. You know, we talked about earlier on how the map is not one of the favorite maps for Latin America as a region. It is the least played and most banned map in the ESL comp pool in the region. And we've seen a couple teams tonight so far with heavy international experience on the map play on this map versus a team that does not have that same level of experience. And I think really it comes down to when a map is not in your repertoire, when a map does not get played in your entire region, honestly, it's hard to really game plan for it in a way that would prepare yourself for a team that's exposed to more of that international play. You don't get to scrim a lot of those international teams, especially from Latin America, with the ping being the way it is when you're trying to play either North American or EU teams. It honestly looks like Immortals are just much more well-versed on this map, and it seems like they're, again, taking a little bit more of an aggressive stance against Black Dragons, and those initial fights are going the way of Black Dragons, but they can't lock out a site execute right now. There's not enough information, there's not enough utility denial on the side of Black Dragons in their attacks. So they'll look to replicate here on the defense, but for the most part, I mean, this has been Immortals in the driver's seat, barring those two crazy rounds where Black Dragon said, screw the map, screw the players, we're just going in for the objective as fast as humanly possible.
It seems to be that if Hugzord is not able to do something on his lonesome, then the rest of Black Dragons struggled in those, few rounds before we saw the side switch now. Moringa had a hot start, but I think switching him off of the operators didn't really help all that much in the overall grand scheme of things, as the utility wasn't as required on the Zofia as possibly the Sledge here. Not necessarily a bad decision from Black Dragons if they wanted to change up how they play, but it didn't do much to their overall strategy. So, speaking of Black Dragons changing things up, you saw the Electric Claws get peeled off of the pink wall and thrown on over to the VIP wall, assuming that the push is going to come out from Immortals through VIP. Circle couch, a lot of people call it. Black Dragons will find the very first kill. No, it'll come on a bullet, so the only set of frag grenades from Immortals will go off of the board. We see another come out now from Moringa onto M-King. Immortals finding themselves in really bad straits. They'll take out Moringa, so it will at least be traded off. You'll lose the Legion, who will not be able to generate any of those goo mines for the next 90 seconds or so. Also, worth noting, we see a Nomad on the board for the first time today.
It's a good spot there for the attacker. Cyber running the Nomad, and for him, this is going to be his job to lock down any kind of site push. You got Echo Drones inside of Aquarium. This is a challenging task here for Immortals to work their way out of. You have heavy utility on the side of Black Dragons to try and stall out as we enter into the dying minute of the round. Still have a member downstairs in office who could be pinched out, and I imagine that would be PZD with the Nitro Cell at his availability, and that's exactly who it is. And PZD will fall at the hands of Navis as a pinch down into office, but now Panico getting aggressive. This might be a misplay here from Panico if he's droned out, and Cyber will be the one to drop in inside of Aquarium. So suddenly a man advantage that was on the side of Black Dragons is now turned into a man disadvantage. The bright spot here for Black Dragons is the amount of utility left at their disposal and no IQ to spot out the remaining Yokai drones. Flashbangs come ringing in. They won't blind GDN for even a moment. The stun canisters will stun lock Hugzord inside of Hookah, but a nicely placed Legion Mine in the default spot. GDN, though, as he's going to wide peek here, the Yokai is being used to poor effect, and Cyber will take down GDN. Hugzord will fall down to the hatch. The plane going down from PX as the Yokai is gone. Just poor utilization of the utility there from Hugzord and GDN. Now rushing back up the Cool Vibe stairs and trying to attempt a retake. Angling in towards the big window, but there's a man prone on the diffuser. It's PX, the Hibana, taking a lot of fire, whipping out the Bearing 9, but it's Cyber on the cover again. 3 on the round for the Nomad. I don't understand what the play was there for Black Dragons, overextending into Aquarium. Mismanaged utility around that looked like it was strongly in the favor of Black Dragons for the majority. Turns starkly to the side of Immortals, and if you're Team Liquid looking on, you're upset about that round.
I was going to say for Black Dragons, it might just be that if they got aggressive and were able to catch Immortals off guard, then they get a pick or two and then just keep rolling from there, right? And ensure that maybe it's somebody with high value utility. Maybe it's somebody who is an integral part of your push. Possibly, going for your lone smoke operator, going for possibly Nomad, something along those lines. But you can't do that against Immortals when you have 2 of the best shots in all of Brazil in Cyber and Navis on that team. playing aggressively against any team that has players like them, not necessarily a smart idea. I mean, there's going to be arguments for both sides. People will say, oh, well, it's actually a great idea because if you manage to catch them off guard, then you take out two really important parts of the team. But the fact is that they're going to be set up in a position where they know where you're going to be pushing. And if you look, 8 kills for Cyber, 6 kills for Navi's, 1 kill for the remainder of the team. Only further underscoring my point that they are two of the best players in Latin America who have not necessarily made a big name for themselves because for quite a while they were on a team that could not compete against the rest of the region. And now Immortals joined that big 3, arguably might be the big 5 depending on what happens with Black Dragons, but there's still a lot of potential that Black Dragons I think needs to realize to earn that mantle. But as Immortal stock has risen, so too have Cyber and Navi's. They've made a hell of an impact on this game, they made a hell of an impact on their region, and it's foolish a lot of times to try and take the fight to them.
Well, the important thing to notice there is that that's through 3 rounds. That's 14 kills.
In 3 rounds.
Out of a possible 15 through 3 rounds since the rehost. That's kind of ridiculous. So, if you're Black Dragons here, you have clear targets you want to dismantle. Moringa will take down Bullet, so not one of those 2 that you really wanted to try and slow down. But hey, it's a beautiful start. There you go, your frag grenade's taken out of play, so at least you're safe to play a little more static than you usually would. It's another strong start here for Black Dragons. It's going to come down to will they overextend again and mismanage their utility.
Is this the first Penthouse Theater defense that we are seeing from a single team so far today? And possibly even through North America as well, as these teams just seem very apprehensive to go to this site in particular. And a big part is that a lot of teams believe it's hard to hold, and while Panico and Moringa might agree with you. Immortals getting 2 kills to answer back Bullet and avenge their teammate who was felled about 40 seconds ago. Black Dragons now will hold on to their 3 anchor plays. You've got an ACOG in the hands of 2 of them, and the Plant and Island 2 as well. So not a bad crew of operators to try and ride out the rest of the round. But look at this. GDN getting extremely aggressive yet again. It didn't work well for Black Dragons previously. You've got Hugzord in a very dangerous position too. Now, mind you, an ACOG head level, all it takes is 1 bullet to shut down the opposite member of you. But Hugzord's got a lot of utility that you might need through the latter half of this round, and there's really nowhere for him to go. Great position, cuts down PX, looking for the second, and he'll grab it onto Navi's. Hugzord, he'll be lined up to possibly get Cyber as well. There's going to be a 3rd body from Immortals who might throw themselves at this problem. See an air jab go out, but it won't trigger Hugzord. He'll lose the fight to Cyber. That's a familiar refrain against a lot of teams in Latin America, and we'll find ourselves at 2-2 as things will cool off for the next minute, presumably allowing Immortals to try and grab that diffuser or find the remaining 2 members of Black Dragons, as that's their mission the rest of this round.
Cyber with some pre-fire into the depths of Theater and Penthouse through that soft wall. You've still got Cyber up, but at least you've taken down Navi's, a beautiful one-man stand, and GDN will take down M-King, so it'll be Cyber as the lone man left alive for Immortals to try and wrap this up. The diffuser is surrendered, now in the Shroud of Smoke, and he'll rush right through it, taking a little bit of damage in the process, but a worthy sacrifice as he's able to recover the diffuser, and no one takes the shot as the view was obstructed. You got flashbangs ringing in now, and GDN has to turn his head away in fear of being flashed. PZD can't land the shots as Cyber presses up the corridor. Now shots through the wall, but GDN in response shuts down Cyber, sends him to a grave with the shotgun. So a good bounce back here from Black Dragons. It's all on the backs of Hugzord, though. Without Hugzord and his one-man stand at the top of Theater Stairs, that's match point.
And Black Dragons will try to keep this close. Keep in mind that the magic number for Liquid is 6. You need to ensure that Immortals doesn't get more than 6 rounds. So it's a tough prospect as Immortals will sit on that 5 number for the rest of the game, presumably. I like that comeback from Black Dragons. You have to give a lot of credit to the echo play of Hugzord, who has looked so good for his team, and basically all on his lonesome. I think that also fell down to the fact that, Immortals just hadn't droned out the top of luggage, heading over to the top of main stairs, and because of that, you allowed Hugzord to just sit there and wait. You're incredibly vulnerable when you go for that rappel down onto the window, as we saw the Hibana do. You just got cut down to size. So giving himself maybe a bit more killing potential this time. Hugzord in particular has swapped it off. No more Echo in play. He's going to go with the Maestro, who is a operator that we see played quite frequently on this kitchen site, which will be the scene for round number 9. The third defense for Black Dragons. They've gone to Hookah. They went to Penthouse against all odds. They actually won it. I think a large part of that, like as we said, was because of Hugzord, right? But now you go down to the kitchen. You're not going to try Hookah again if you're Black Dragons. You still got the double bars to go to as well, should you need to. Very similar to a lot of kitchen setups. You're going to defend upstairs inside of that penthouse and theater site, which is not where the bombs are this time, but where the bombs were previously, and happens to align over top of the main lobby and then also over top of part of the site downstairs. Didn't really work out so well when we saw Immortals go full barrel, defend heavily upstairs when it was really a kitchen site, and well, it's not really working out so well for the first 30 seconds for Black Dragons as PZD has bid a fond farewell. I don't know if that was a good read from Immortals or just simply good luck off the half of Cyber, but possibly could have just been spraying down that barricade and manages to claim a pretty important role for the defenders.
Well, regardless of how the kill comes out, it still comes out. And the motivation there for Cyber not really necessary to decipher the fact that PZD is gone, your Nitro Cell is gone, you still have the Valkyrie cameras that have been deployed around the map, but that's not a beautiful start here for Black Dragons, who are trying to stave off match point. Got Ice Kairos charges detonating now from PX, and that actually looked like it was on a castle barricade on the big window of VIP. Drones coming out en masse now for Navis to try and push him with Cyber, same position that they ran into a logjam in last time around at the hands of Hugzord, but Hugzord nowhere to be found. That is just not the smartest run out of all time, and Panico will be felled for it, putting his team now at a two-man disadvantage. M King down to 25 HP, but at the end of the day, you're looking really strong, leaving Hugzord, who's now been felled by Navis, and this is all snowballing into absolute chaos for Black Dragons.
Hard to see the way that you bail yourselves out of this when M King is the only person who's really lost anything. You take out Navis, though, so there you go. Two of the best shots for Immortals. And if Cyber also finds himself felled, then this is possibly winnable. But that's really the only set of circumstances I see right now for Black Dragons. I don't think surely must have been a misclick of some kind, but I mean, there's no Jaeger, so you don't need to worry about burning the ADSs. So those flashbangs could have been particularly useful to try and find where Moringa and GDN are playing. And it's Moringa way off course with GDN holding down the site. See a frag grenade sail by, and you heard an air jab go off as well, which means that it might be tough to be able to get back into the site. GDN opening up an opportunity to throw out a toxic canister if need be. Moringa finally manages to wade his way back in. He'll sit on A as you see GDN sitting on B, and there's going to be full coverage of both of these sites. Bullet takes out GDN, so got Moringa here needing a ace clutch, or an ace clutch. He's already got one kill. It's going to be very difficult for him to do. The T9 is or the T6 rather, is not a bad weapon, but he's going to have to deal with those bars in front of him, and M King is much more accurate. He'll be moving on to match point for Immortals as they pick up 1 point. The worst, a draw, Robert.
Well, this is looking dire here for Black Dragons, who are trying to play spoiler for Immortals, but the undefeated run of Immortals will ring on into week 14. An unbelievable stretch here for Immortals inside of Latin America, as they've now guaranteed themselves yet another point into the standings, and they're still in the thick of a playoff race, like we've said a couple times now. But with a win here, if they can close out one more round, they will lock out Liquid from the playoff race and make our next game and final game of the evening wholly, at least irrelevant for the playoff race. Red Devils still trying to keep themselves away from a relegation spot, at the very least, with INTZ losing to FaZe earlier today. Immortals, to lock this out, this specific round, this specific game, it's probably shutting down Hugzord, who's now swapped over to a dock. You've got a triple ACOG setup on the side of Black Dragons, with GDN, Hugzord, and Panico. Again, it comes down to Cyber and Navis, leaving those two up late round. It's been catastrophic for Black Dragons. The more those two have woken up, the more the Black Dragons have fallen asleep. Don't really often see a Rook and a Dock combo inside of Latin America. That's a very, very North American thing, but hey, looks like it's time to pull everything out of the wheelhouse you can possibly yank. As you got one last round here to try and lock this thing out if you're Immortals. If you're Black Dragons, winning 3 in a row here on a defensive rotation, not the most likely thing to do on Coastline, but again, not impossible. We've seen crazier runbacks on Coastline, like the Chaos runback against Penta.
That was quite the match.
That was dumb.
Did you say dope or dumb?
Dumb.
Like dumb good or dumb bad?
Just
Isn't it funny how language works?
Yes, the English
sometimes?
language is a stupid language.
Do you mean stupid good or stupid bad?
Exactly.
There you go. Almost like we practiced this before the broadcast. Oh, this is going to be a good opportunity for a peek here, and the reason why you bring the ACOGs on defense is you can take those chances. And it's Navi's that almost gets taken out as he played inside of the ruins and will now just decide to advance. Keep in mind the site is hookah, so he can't really chase that kill as, well, you're not just going to walk right into the site. Some teams do it, and they die. Ask Panico. He tried to do that earlier on and was immediately destroyed. So you don't exactly want to take that chance when you have the match on the line, as Immortals does.
Hugs are taking a lot of damage. He'll have to boost himself back up. It sounded like it was M-King or Bullet landing those shots. It could have been Cyber as well. Not too accustomed to that AK sound. Usually the ARX is the more common choice on the Nomad, but you know, very well balanced between the two weapons, the AK and the ARX. You've got clear advantages and clear disadvantages, but both still usable weapons. Moringa about to be pinched upon from M-King and Navi's at the base of Cool Vibe Stairs, but you also got PZD in support, so this is going to become a tiny little war down between Kitchen, Cool Vibe Stairs, Sunrise, and Blue Bar. And it's a good stack here. It looks like GDN's going to come in for support as well, as now you can hear the X-Kairos detonating in the back of that bar wall, as we saw earlier on in this game and last. That was actually VIP walls to add purview in towards the billiards bar to make sure that no one can go for a wide swing onto an attempted plant. But this has become more of a Cold War than anything. No one really taking shots downstairs, and they're actually going to try and disperse. Shots up to the floor towards a default camera and an ADS, not successful, but at the end of the day, you still got that visibility from down below. And the big thing is you're stopping out a Nitro Cell from PZD to come and stop a plant.
Yeah, I think Immortals are trying to bait out the players that are for Black Dragons on this main floor, right? You need to be able to try to clear them out as quickly as you can because you don't have a lot of time to be able to pull this all together. Oh no! How does that even happen? You see a run out from GDN. It knocks Navi's, I think they call it ass over tea kettle there. And he'll try to recover as Cyber is responsible for 2 bodies falling to the air jab. Panico downed as well as GDN low on HP. Black Dragons is trying to hold off on the Cool Vibe Stairs. Everybody's still up from Immortals. Gonna see some HP fall off for Black Dragons. Navi's finally taken out after an earlier altercation. Another air jab will take out Moringa, but he gets back inside quite safely. All of Black Dragons just looking to hold on for the time being as PZD watches one angle, looks for another. He exposes his back to Bullet. The Sledge is gonna walk right in. Plant going down for Immortals, trying to hang on! And there you go! 4 kills all down the board. Clog up that kill feed. And Immortals will fight on till week 14. And with that, the dreams of Team Liquid making it to Milan are over. Evaporating in front of our very eyes with Immortals in now a 3-way fight heading into week 14. Immortals and FaZe will fight each other for one of those spots as Nip will look on.
Well, Black Dragons had the opportunity to play spoiler. Couldn't quite do it. Immortals still continue their undefeated run, and they walk away with yet another victory, pushing their tally to 7 on the season, 7-6-0.